Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we have our very first look at the Tier 5 French destroyer, the Guepard. So, without further ado, let's look at our commander. Now we've got Philippe Aboyano. I apologize. We've got Eric Bay. We are only a level 10, so we don't get our second inspiration. We've got Subsurface Venture. We've got Fragile Threat, we've got Stand or Fall, we've got Destroyer Be Destroyed, and we have Unstoppable as our perks. Moving on, we've got the Aiming Systems Mod 1, which is pretty much standard on every ship. And instead of steering gears in this one, we went with Propulsion Mod because I anticipate having to do a lot of start-stops in this ship. So that's why I went with the Propulsion Mod. Remember, you don't get smoke in these French destroyers, except for the Eagle, which, you know, isn't a thing. Anyway, so, if we go to the loadout, you can see I've got no boosters on, and I've got my community contributor flag, and also a the Halloween camo from back in the day. We've got 16,340 hit points, which is really good at Tier 5. Like, that's very good for a destroyer at Tier 5. Artillery. It's got 5 139mm guns. With our current build, they reload in 5.9 seconds, which is fantastic for the size of gun that these are. The 180 turn time, not good. So you definitely want to be turning your ship rather than turning the guns, as you'll see in the video coming up. HE shells, 2,055 damage with a 9% chance to set fires, and the AP is 2,600 maximum damage if you catch a cruiser broadside. Torpedoes. You get 6 of them, 2 triple launchers, 550mm. They reload in 79, so minute 19 seconds. 180 degree turn time on them is only 6 seconds. Maximum damage is 18,400 with a torpedo detectability of 1.2, which is pretty good. Torpedo range of 7 kilometers and a torpedo speed of 62 knots with our current build. Maneuverability. Maximum speed is 37.4 knots without the engine boost active. Turning circle is 680 meters, which is, you know, it's not particularly good. You'll see me run into some issues later. And the rudder shift of 4 seconds isn't the greatest for a destroyer, but at the same time, we're not buffing that with a steering gear, so it could get better. Detectability range by sea is 5.7 with our concealment that we've got in this build. Detectability by air, 3 kilometers, guaranteed is always 2, and detectability while firing in smoke is 2.7 kilometers. So pretty good in that sense. But you don't get smoke, so you have to rely on other people. Now, it's agile, above average ability to change direction, not with Propulsion Mod. Now, Propulsion Mod tends to make the ship drift a lot, so that kind of hurts it a little bit. Reloader, above average main battery reload time, and when you consider that they're actually bigger guns than most destroyers as well, then you can kind of get a feeling for just how nasty this little ship is. But no smoking, it gets no smoke screen generator. Armed with 139mm guns, the Guepard-class ships were to a greater extent than their predecessor in line with the concept of large destroyers, half cruisers, half destroyers. Entered service in 1928, and there were 6 of them in the series. So, let's take a look at her. I really like this Halloween camo on this ship. It's a very good looking ship. Quadruple smokestacks, that's to be, you know, a thing, I guess. But when you're talking about needing speed, you need all that engine efficiency you can get. The guns, as you can see, there are 5 guns on this ship, though one of them always seems to take a little bit too much broadside in order to get onto target, and I can give you a guess as to which one that is. It's the one tucked right here up against all the smoke screen, or all the smokestacks. So, just as a heads up, like, that gun will get you hurt if you're not careful. But, you know, it's only one gun. If you have to go into a fight with 4, you're going to enjoy it. But yeah, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so what are we going to do? We're going to be on straight. And if you notice on the enemy team, there are 4 destroyers against us, and we are going to have an absolute blast in this map. I'm not going to lie to you, this is the very first match I've played in this thing, so take everything I say about it with a grain of salt. But so far, I really like it. Now, it's a different style of destroyer play than you're used to, but if you liked the American destroyers early on, you're really going to like these. Like I said, the only downside is you don't really have a smoke screen, but people tend to just like not care that you exist a lot of times. At least that was my experience in, you know, gunboat destroyers in the American line and in now this. People just tend to not care that you exist. Now we go ahead and we pre-torp this channel like I normally do, but unfortunately I forgot to look at the mini-map to see that we only have 7-kilometer torpedo range, so we can barely torp that channel. They would have to literally be inside the channel for us to hit them. It's unfortunate. Especially when you see in a moment what pops into that channel that was going to dive in. We could have potentially got him right off the bat. But yeah, so a lot of people will be like, okay, Tier 5 Guepard, what's the goods and what's the bads? Well, it's a gunboat. Make no mistakes about it. Yes, it's got mid-range torpedoes that are 7 kilometers. They're just long enough to be like viable in most situations. You've got a decent enough detection range with our concealment that we have on our build, that you can, even when people are looking for you, you can stealth torp in a very small patch. Like there's a very small ring when you go to stealth torp. Now that Mayhan almost ran into more than he could chew, but you're gonna see some really ugly driving by me in a moment, because I'm gonna pop around this corner after hitting my engine boost and oh my god, it's a T-61. One of the worst things that I could possibly run into at this point in the match. Now luckily this T-61 forgets that he's a gunboat. I mean, yes, he has torpedoes, but he also has a gunboat. And look how fast we can cycle these guns when we're using that reload booster. Reload booster runs out, we run into the island, and torpedoes are going to miss us because we're a destroyer, and we get the finish, and we get our first kill. Now, we lost a little bit of health there, mainly due to our own stupidity running into the island, but you can see Mayhan started firing at us. We're going to try to turn this ship around. Now, again, I'm going to make some mistakes. I've got my engine boost active, and that, like I said, when you are using engine boost and trying to turn with propulsion mod, this thing turns into a drift machine rather than turning. And it just keeps trying to power you straight through the turn rather than, like, turning the ship. And that's why a lot of people don't put propulsion mod on destroyers, just for that fact, especially when you need to dodge torpedoes. So, yeah. You just got to be really good at anticipating when somebody's launching torpedoes at you. But yeah, you're going to get to see real quick why the guns can be so tricky. Or at least the one gun that gets stuck all the time. And then the rest of the guns taking forever to turn to the other side of the ship. Now, unlike the Americans, which literally just flip-flops from side to side without even thinking, these guns take forever to change sides. So you want to avoid changing sides at all costs. But we're going to go ahead, chase down this Mayhan, and get into a gunfight with him. Now, there's not a whole lot of destroyers out there that would go, you know what, there's a Mayhan, I'm going to get into a gunfight with him. But that's exactly what we're going to do. We only have 10,000 hit points left, but he's got less than that. And we're going to go ahead and punch him in the mouth. Now, remember, our reload gets better for every point of damage, or every % of damage that we take. So, you'll see after we take some more damage here that we're actually going to be reloading pretty quickly. It gets pretty disgusting. Now, Fubuki comes up, and I'm assuming torpedoes are inbound as we crash into another island. But, yeah, we're going to go ahead and try to knock this Fubuki out of here as well, since he's going to, you know, give himself to us. But look at the damage that we're doing to these destroyers. 2,700 damage, and you can see we're getting a couple hits there, only one real penetration. But you can see I've run into another island. I'm just, you know, watching too many Hivehound videos, I think. But we take down our third destroyer already. 4 destroyers on the enemy team. We've killed all... Wait for it! Hey, look! The 4th one! How you doing, Sunshine? Now, we've been pretty good up to this point. Might as well go in and kill this guy, too. But you'll see that my guns are back on the other side, so we can only use the front guns. So rather than give up the whole side, they are turning, but we're going to focus with the front guns only. And you can see everybody on the enemy team. There's 2 battleships that could shoot me right now. Possibly a 3rd over there. But 2 of them are just letting this happen. We have completely murdered every one of their destroyers. Unfortunately, Farragut gets this one. But we decide to go ahead and take a shot at the Arizona here. rather than the hold them for the Iron Duke, because I figure at this range he's going to come out broadside and we're going to be able to use armor piercing and just see kind of how well the armor piercing does. French armor piercing in general is pretty decent. Now we've got low caliber, but it's still 139 millimeters. It's not tiny. Well, I mean, it's tiny. It is tiny, but it's not the smallest caliber. It's not 127. So we're going to try armor piercing on the upper side plating and see what we can get out of it. You got to test it. When you get a new ship, you got to test what you can do. Now he's angled. Never mind. I was going to shoot that, but I guess we're not going to after all. He goes broadside on in front of battleships, and my torpedoes were going to hit. But apparently Arizona slowed down just enough that they ran out of steam before they got to him. Now you can see that fifth gun that I keep talking about just isn't quite in a position where it can fire. We have to give a lot of broadside to get that gun into firing range, or firing angles. Now this Arizona is going to take a lot of torpedoes, but as you can see, we're trying to get shots into that upper side plating slash superstructure, and we're getting some damage out of it. 4 penetrations, only 1 shatter, and those are only going to get better as we get a better angle. But you can see it's all about RNG really, because while we do get some good salvos in here, getting some decent damage out of it, it's obviously probably better to use a cheat in this situation. Just because we only got 1 real good salvo out of that, and we're wasting a lot of ammo. And we managed to snipe the kill from everybody again. Got 2 penetrations on that. And now we're going to completely flub this launch on this Byron over here. Now, we've already got 4 kills. There are 2 ships left. Can we get a Kraken? That's the question that starts to be asked, right? So we've got a guy capping the base, because of course he would. He hasn't done anything else up to this point. He came with us on the left side. We literally walked through the entire enemy team, and so he's like, screw it. If I can't get anything else, I'll get this. Now watch what I do here. That's an island, Spartan. You're torping an island. Clearly the guy is behind the island, and you'll see that I look at it, look at my torps, I'm like, oh god, I completely screwed the pooch on this one. That's my bad. Oh well, we've got our engine boost running again. We're going to try to get out here on this New Mexico and get some more shots off. We've got high explosive loading this time, because we definitely want that to be a thing. But watch this New Mexico. As we get closer to the point where we might actually be able to shoot him, this New Mexico is just going to get nuked. And he's got no health left. He had 3/4 of his health like 30 seconds ago, but you get the entire enemy team shooting at you. You don't last very long, especially when you're broadside on an American battleship. But we do manage to get a single torpedo hit, giving us our Confederate to go with our first blood medal. And if we can manage to snipe this kill, we might just pull off. Well, I say if we snipe the kill, we can actually get our Kraken. But you can see we're getting 3 penetrations with high explosive here against this Byron, which is really good armored ship. So definitely the high explosive, the better option against battleships here. Or at least more consistent option. Now, if you're close enough, maybe the armor piercing becomes more viable. But if you want consistency, the high explosive is just better in this situation. Now, we're going to go ahead and throw our torps out there. I will say that the torps reloading in 1:20 isn't too bad. Or what is it, 1:19? Yeah, 1:20, something like that. It's not too bad. It seems like they're there when you need them. But this is mostly a gun platform. So, we're just doing everything we can. We're setting fires. The guy's already burned damage controls, so now we're getting fires there. Also, those torps are on the way. He's starting to turn out, which started to make me cry a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But we get another fire on him anyway. Luckily, it's still too late. He's just piddle farting around. We get the torpedo hit, and because we had flooding and fires on him, we get our Kraken unleashed. Very first game in the Guepard, Kraken unleashed. 80,000 damage done, not too shabby. Top of the leaderboard, 2,400 base XP, 5 kills. So far, I like the ship. So I'm going to be looking forward to the rest of the French line. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.